some new news just dropped, man. Boogie Blaze. I know I sent that to you right before we got on.
You
right
did. You
before we got
did.
online, man.
Mm-hmm.
But check this out, man. X-Men, new X-Men comics is coming this summer, dog. Like, listen, Marvel's been cooking. All right, you got X-Men 97, which
Yeah.
I got to take back. So the X-Men 97 like creator or showrunner, he was let go. He was fired. like
Yeah.
before this show even aired, though.
I
And I
didn't.
was like, and someone said in the comments, it was like, typically when Disney do that to somebody, some stuff will come out in the future about them. And there's a reason. They just getting ahead of it. And I
Right.
was
Right.
like,
Right. Right. Like there's a reason behind it. Type shit.
right, there's a reason behind it. But I don't want to say that it is because nothing has come out yet. But this ain't even the show. You got X-Men 97, which they just released a clip today, which you can check it out on YouTube and on Facebook, where the X-Men was fighting the Sentinels. And bro, let me tell you, y'all know you seen it. Boy.
So what is it? There's 3 flagships now, right? There's 3 flagship comics.
So right now, X-Men, the mutants is in the Krokoan age. And
Yeah, exactly. And that's like where the mutants were like they had like their own, I guess, civilization where they like were lived in unity, right?
yeah, everybody lived in unity. Even some of the villains, Apocalypse has his thing, Sinister had his thing.
Yeah, it was like a sovereign nation almost.
Yeah, right. They had a governing body that they had representatives,
Right.
like in the government or whatever. And then they had portals where they can go off planet, jump over. And Krokoa was a living organism, and they had council meetings. It was like Professor X, Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, Emma Frost, all in a council meeting or whatever, having talks about certain things or whatever. And it was just a harmonious thing. Obviously, during this age, this is like some of the greatest storytelling, like in X-Men lore. But right now, they're going through a storyline called The Fall of X. So, with The Fall of X, like this Krokoan age that we've been dealing with for the past few years is going to be over.
Yeah.
And so, they are relaunching X-Men. So, they're going back to after the events of Krakoa. Mutants are being hated more than ever. So,
yeah.
From basically it said, per CBR.com, from the ashes of the Krokoan age, Marvel announced a relaunch of X-Men titles, now under the editorship of longtime Marvel editor Tom Brevoort, as a panel at Southwest titled "From the Ashes: The Future of the X-Men Revealed." 3 flagships, like you said, will be Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone, X-Men by Jed McKay, and Exceptional X-Men by Eve Ewing and Carmen Carnero. Now, also, there's other titles like X-Force, X-Factor, Wolverine, NIX. Storm has her own title. Now,
so the X-Men, right, is supposed to be led by Cyclops.
Yes.
Right, and Beast and the others, and Alaska.
Yes.
Right, focused on the mutant business and philosophy. Right, and there's Uncanny X-Men. Right, which is Rogue, Gambit, and the crew in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Protecting like interests in more human involved areas.
Yeah.
And then the Exceptional X-Men, which is like the ragtag group with like Kate Pryde predominantly featured, and like facing off against new foes in Chicago.
Yeah.
So like each they have like their different regions with different rogues that are kind of helping maintain whatever order that they're doing.
Yeah. And if you go on CBR.com, and I will drop the link in the description below, for like certain things you can look up for you guys. There's a trailer out you can watch for this. Uncanny X-Men will be the one that I'm really, really looking forward to. In Louisiana. Notice that none of these groups are in New York.
Yeah. That's crazy to me. They're like in the Midwest type shit.
Yeah.
Illinois, Louisiana, and then obviously there's Alaska, but that's still that's crazy. You don't see LA, you don't see New York, you don't see Atlanta, you don't see none of that shit. Miami, Houston, Louisiana. And I'm a huge Gambit fan. I love Gambit, and I know he's gonna be over there in Louisiana.
Cooking it
you
up.
know, with Rogue, and I'm just like, I can't wait for that because Rogue, I fucks with Rogue, yo.
Yes. Yes.
Animated series Rogue, you know what I mean? I fuck with Rogue.
Yeah,
Um,
she doing her thing, man. From now X-Men is also I'm interested in that too because it got Beast Magneto, like you said, Beast Magneto, Psylocke, which is one of my favorite female characters, Juggernaut, which is part of that X-Men team.
mhm.
Now I know Louisiana got Gambit, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, and Wolverine. Now where Rogue is, I don't know. I feel like Rogue should be there for obvious reasons.
Rogue. I think Rogue will be there.
Yeah.
Nah. I think I read something that Rogue was going to be over there with them in Louisiana.
Yes, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Rogue will lead the team of outlaw
Hmm.
superheroes. She's the
Yeah,
leader.
she's a lead. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. Like it's crazy how the end of that, Krokoan era and their decision to just branch everybody out. Like what's going to be the impact of that?
So I'm thinking what's going to happen is whatever happened in the fall of Krakoa, it happened in New York, and it caused them to separate. And now at one point, say if someone died in Krakoa, right?
Hmm.
There's like some
Hmm.
type of memory, I won't say memory chip or whatever, but you can get resurrected. Like there was you had the
Okay.
ability to be resurrected because Krakoa could do that, like with your memories and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, it wasn't like if someone dies, it's like, I'm not so totally sad by that because at some point you're gonna go to this certain area in Krakoa and like, we're gonna bring you back, that kind of thing. But
Hmm.
now this is the fall of Krakoa, so death has ramifications. Krakoa was kind of like Dragon Ball in a way. But it was certain things that was put in play, like the stuff with Mr. Sinister, the stuff with, Orcus, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
it's like it's so many things that's happening. Um, I've been watching Comics Explained, and shout out to the host for Comics Explained. And let me tell you
Hmm.
something:
Hmm.
Cyclops is a dog. You understand?
Facts.
Cyclops is a
Facts.
straight dog, and I was like, people don't understand
Hmm.
because people watch X-Men animated series and
Think
people
he's
have a tendency,
soft.
yeah, they look at him like he's soft with her because the moment he got punched in the stomach by Wolverine, it was a wrap. You know,
Hmm.
that's the first episode and how uptight and Boy Scoutish he is. But he's a leader. He's supposed to be that guy. He's not supposed to be edgy or whatever case may be. In the comics, he killed Professor X. Like he killed this man. His
Yeah,
father
bro.
figure. He killed him. So there's something I'm reading right now called Daily Genesis, and that was kind of like the start of the fall of Cyclops. His psyche is like, and you got the Messiah complex because after a certain event, Hope Summers is supposed to be the new savior for mutant kind, and Cyclops is by any means necessary. He will sacrifice mutants to save Hope.
Oh
That
yeah.
wasn't the old Cyclops. You know what
Nah.
I'm saying?
Nah.
Nah. He Avengers versus X-Men, definitely about that life. When he took the ability of the Phoenix and no one could stop this man.
Hmm.
Like ridiculous. He beat the Avengers, he killed Professor X, he did short work with Wolverine. Nobody could touch this man.
Yeah, Cyclops he's a dog, bro. And
He's a
like,
dog.
yeah. And you're right. He never really got his flowers like that. And he's never really been like, aside from the comics,
Yeah.
yeah, in the cinematic universes anyways, like he's never really been portrayed as like that tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, he was always portrayed as the leader.
Yeah.
And yes, you always see him like wear his emotions on his sleeve. Um, but like you never see that dark, like kind of savage part of Cyclops, and
Yeah.
to see that in the comics is great, and to see that moving forward is great too, you
Yeah.
know, and it's cool because like I know that Jed McKay, he also had like a lot of success recently, right,
Mhm.
with Moon Knight,
Yeah.
and Gail Simone's also with Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So the creative team here is like fire.
And rumor had it that they were trying to get Jim Lee to come back.
Yeah.
But he had obligations with DC because he holds position with DC.
Oh, does
And
he? Yeah, yeah, that
And
would be like a conflict of interest type of thing, wouldn't it?
it would, I think considering his obligations, and I mean, it's going to be a little minute before he even like able to do anything X-Men wise. But if Jim Lee's name was on X-Men, not taking anything from the creators that's working on X-Men right now this summer,
Right.
Jim Lee's X-Men that was in the 90s, that short run that he had is like the best selling. I think it's the best selling comic book run of all time. I think.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know
because
that.
of the artwork or whatever. Because in the 90s there was a boom, and Jim Lee, ugh, the name escapes me. Tom McFarlane, and Todd McFarlane. I'm sorry. And then there's other artists, and right now I have a brain freeze right now. But those core artists left Marvel, walked across the street, and told DC, "We not coming to you either. We're making Image Comics, and we're creating our own characters." So the best artists in the nation left Marvel and became the number 2 comic book company in the nation, above DC, and just right under Marvel. That's wild.
That is wild, bro. And I love to hear stories like that too. I love to hear stories that, of people that really believe in their work and really believe in what they do and are passionate about it and go out and do it on their own and become successful at it, bro.
Yeah.
I love those stories, bro. I love those stories. But too, think about this, right? We got these 3 flagships that are coming out, right? But like these are only core titles, right? So more X-Men related books are likely coming.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like these are just the core titles. I feel like there's going to be a ton of more comics that are going to come out within this series, I guess you would call it.
And it's going to be stretched out. I mean, we read that, Storm, X-Force, X-Factor, Wolverine, NYX. Now it depends on how good those secondary comics are, but I think the core story will be the X-Men, like Uncanny and Exceptional and regular X-Men. Now, I can't let this die. So Image Comics, Eric Larson, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Wilts Portacio, Mark Silvestri, and Jim Valentino. Those were the founders of Image Comics, and it was founded in '92. And like when I tell you, people was lined up at the comic book store around the building by the thousands in line for a book, like autograph signing. For like, it was crazy. Like Spawn, I think is the longest running continuous comic book, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because they never like did a relaunch or start over. Everything that happened from book 1, leads up to what's going on now. I mean, there's some standalone stuff over here, but the correspond stuff, everything matters. It's like continuous. That's dope too. I didn't know that either. I mean, I've always liked the Spawn comics and but I always assumed that there were like spin-offs of it, you know what I mean, or different versions of Spawn, or a relaunch, or an alternate universe Spawn or type shit. I mean, I didn't know that they have Scorched, which is like a team of Spawns with Al being, I won't say a leader, but it's kind of like a ragtag group of Hell Spawns and stuff like that. But this right here for X-Men, I'm really excited about that. Like, it's something I will continuously read, and honestly, it's good for newcomers too. So if I can't imagine people being brand new to X-Men or whatever the case may be, but if you're trying to figure out a spot to start at, I think when these new comics come out in July, this is a good spot to start at, because obviously they're going to reference what happened, what led them up to this point, but you can get there. I think me and you started reading comic books right at the midpoint. We started in the 90s.
Right.
Like, we didn't start reading X-Men in the 60s when it came out. So, it is what it is at that point, but I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. And not for nothing, like I haven't, like I was never, I mean, I was like when I was younger, like I was really into comic books.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until you put me back on comic books when I was back at on base and everything. That was when I got put back on to comic books.
Oh, yeah. because it's some
And
great stories, man.
they are some great stories, man. And I love hearing these adaptations of like, I know a lot of people don't like it. You know, they like those canon stories and all of that shit, and I do too. I do appreciate those. I love the character development in them, but I always love creative thinking. You know what I mean? I love something new that we haven't seen before
Yeah,
with somebody that we love. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I love that shit, and like I love the cameos. Those are always fun. The collabs, I could read those all day. And you put me back onto that.
yeah, yeah, man. Always here to help, man. And I know lastly, before we get off.